Number one is everything goes wrong in property, because I didn't really know how to deal with the money, what the tax man would want, and I was really worried about getting into trouble. And I managed to negotiate 20 grand off the asking price. So we're there a lot on the weekend with me and my kids, and then we rent it out, and it's currently going for about £450 to £500 per night. Welcome to Property Investing with Abby. I'm so excited what we're going to show you today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let me know what your thoughts are. So I always loved property, and from being a little girl I love playing Monopoly, and I love the idea that property can give you money as well as working, of course, and I love that. So I worked my way up in school, uni, in a job, and at the time I was quite a corporate senior manager looking after quite a lot of people, you know, and I was working lots of hours, and I had this niggling back of my head about property, and I was saving, I was about to invest in and buy a property, because I knew the idea of putting a tenant in there. The tenant's rent pays your mortgage off, and then you get a house where it's the mortgage is being paid off, and I loved that. I thought that was great. So I basically met some property investors and got chatting with them and thought, yeah, I should really do this. So that's how my property journey began. What I never ever envisaged would my property investing would become full-time, and I never envisioned the fact that from property investing it would make me more money than my job, and I never envisioned giving up my job. I just started on this path of creating property. When I started to learn about property properly and really understand it, I realised, oh my gosh, you can make money from buy-to-let, commercial property. You can make money from properties you don't even own, called rent to rent, and it blew my mind all the amazing things that you could do, because I knew property investing is just save a deposit, buy a house. Nowhere in my brain did I figure out that I could buy a property for cash, refurb it, get the bank to then give a mortgage and pull that money out and recycle that money. Yeah, it's crazy. So my life's changed amazingly over the last 5 years, and I'm so grateful, and property is now my passion. So I'm really excited to take you on a journey with me today to see some of my portfolio, some of my properties, and at each property we'll talk about what I learned from it and what challenges I may have had with it. This is one of the very first houses I bought, which is really exciting. This little house is in Rotherham, and I bought it for just under £40,000. Did a £6,500 refurb, and it got revalued at £55,000. So I left some money in the deal. So a few things that I learned with this property. Number one is everything goes wrong in property. Where there's property and people concerned, you're going to have some bumps. So it's really good to try and plan for that. The second thing is I really learned about market value, because I understood market value, that estate agents come out and they tell you what a value is, but I didn't appreciate that you have surveyors that come out who will also give you a different, they do true market value, where estate agents will do demand from people wanting houses to people selling them. So you can't trust the estate agent valuation, because the surveyor that comes out for your mortgage will do it on actual sold prices. So I was hoping this was going to get valued for £65,000, but the valuer had valued it for £55,000, so I left some money in. But that's purely because I'd not got the market valuation right. That was a key thing that I knew I needed to get right for more property investing. So this is a rent to buy property now. I've got lovely tenants in this place, and it makes me about £270 a month every single month without fail. No issues, no stress. So I learned quite early on in my property investing journey about tax and structure, because that was one of my things that held me back from being a property investor, because I didn't really know how to deal with the money, what the tax man would want, and I was really worried about getting into trouble. So I spent quite a bit of time really learning and understand company structure, how to be tax efficient. So my properties are all owned in limited companies for buy-to-lets. I've got an accountant, and that helps me with section 24 and the anti-landlord taxes to make it really super efficient, so I get to keep more of the money that I make from it. And it's really simple, really. I don't know why I got myself so wound up and so frightened about it, because taxes, it's not that difficult, and you have a good property accountant and they help you through it. But yeah, now I'm very tax efficient, which is great, and I get to buy more properties and put them in my companies. So this is the house, and it's really, really exciting. So I moved in here with my 2 children on my own as a single mum after my divorce, and then moved out, converted it to a buy-to-let, and now it's got a tenant in there. So this is one of the other ways you can do property, because a lot of people normally will sell the property off, use the money and buy their next property, but I didn't, because I was already a property investor at that stage, and I was thinking, you know, long-term wealth to hold the property, and the rental income it gives me is awesome. So this is just a 3-bed detached house with a drive, worth about 220, and it's close to my heart because it was the house that I moved in, and at the time I was looking for security, a really good neighbourhood, and this is it. And it's gone up in value since I've owned it by £20,000 because it's near a train line, it's had a new stretch of shops, restaurants and a pub open, so people really want to live here. It's such a lovely area, and that's key when you're looking for investment property. You pick areas where you know you're going to get good tenants and you'll get good capital growth. This is one of my most recent purchases. I bought this last October and I actually offered on it in the June, and it took ages to complete due to COVID-19 and lockdown. So learnings with this one. So this house I bought for $158,500. We're refurbing it now currently to make it into a 4-bed house, and it should value up between 250 to 270, 280 depending on valuers and how we get it to. So the biggest thing I learned about this one was speed and the time it takes just to do everything, because this was just crazy. The guy that lived in it, we got it direct to vendor, so he didn't have it up an estate agent. We managed to get the house and bought it direct. So speed was a challenge, and because he was a lot older, he really struggled with his solicitor. He wanted to do everything by hand, send paperwork back and forth, so it really tested me being able to build a relationship with him, help him as he got his house sale through. And then the second thing is I actually used a private investor. So a private individual gave me the money to buy this house. I'm refurbing it, and when I refinance it, I'll pay him the money back. We call this buy, refurb, refinance. So the investor was waiting and waiting to give me the money, and I was like, oh no, I've not bought it yet. So there's a lot of shuffling in this property deal where I was back four with vendor, back four with the investor, but it's so excited to finally have it, and the value we're going to do is awesome. So the refurb team are in there now. We've just dug out, ready for the driveway. So this is going to be a cracker. This house will probably make about £600 profit a month after rent and our bills are paid on it, because I'll have my mortgage, I'll have my insurance, but after all that's cleared, I should still make about £600, which is really exciting, and I can't wait to see the family that moves in here, because this is just going to be a great house. So you might be wondering how I managed to get people that want to sell their houses come to me direct. I've got a number of different things that I use, but one of them is these signs. So this is one of my We Buy Houses for Cash signs. They're really useful. I know it looks horrible and yellow and it wouldn't be my style, but it really works, and people pick up the phone and go, oh, I've seen you just bought the house down the road. I'm like, yeah, I'm a property investor. And they go, oh right, would you have a look at mine? Some people are a bit hesitant because they think you're going to try and rip them off or offer half of what the house is worth, but I don't play like that. It was very important to me when I got into property investing that it would be a win-win. I didn't want to rip people off or be one of those horrible landlords. I actually wanted to do it to give people really nice homes to live in. Whoever rings me, I try and get a win-win, and if I can't get a win-win, I walk away from the deal. One of the biggest things property has given me is an amazing lifestyle now, and I've got a lot of freedom and choice. I drive the car I want to drive around in. I've always wanted a Range Rover, so I've got a Range Rover, and it's paid for through some of my properties. I get to go on amazing holidays with my children. I mean, even during lockdown, I went to Croatia, Cyprus. Pre-lockdown, I got to go to Monaco, Dubai, Spain multiple times, Egypt. You know, I just love traveling, and property enables me to do that. Because as well as a full-time job salary, I get all this income coming in as well. It really is life-changing. But one of the biggest things it's given me, and I'm not going to lie, it's not the nice stuff you can have or the place you can go. It's a freedom in your mind. I'm not frightened anymore. I used to be so in fear of what happens if I lose my job. You know, this is the only money I get in, but because I've got lots of different money coming in now from different places, I don't get that fear anymore, and I'm not financially stressed. And that's one of the biggest things I'm so grateful for property for, just for the freedom of mindset, not to be financially stressed and know if I lose my job, it's fine because I've got money coming in. You know how you do buy, refurb, refinance, and you buy a property in cash, you then refurb it and you refinance it and you can pop a tenant in it. Well, I kind of was thinking, could I do this with my own house? Could I use private investors' money, buy it, refurb and refinance it? And I really started thinking about this idea quite a lot because I love the idea that from top to bottom I could build my ideal house. Now, I don't really like new build houses, and you can't do the same with newer houses and create the value so you can do the refinance. So I thought I'll find an old house and we'll do it. And this is it. So this is having a full refurb, and it's having a double story extension on the back of it because I'm going to have the kitchen diner that I want. I'm going to create another bathroom. I'm going to have a big bedroom. I'm going to have a gym, a office for me. So it's going to be done down to my taste, every last detail. So I'm dead excited. We bought that last year and we are just on with the refurb and waiting for planning permission to come through, which is exciting. But a private investor's given me the money to do this. Not only did he give me the money to buy the house, but he also gave me the money to do the refurb as well. My private investor gets first charge on the property, so it's asset-backed security for his money, and we're giving him a great return back. So he wins and I win. And also the best thing is, because there's nothing really happening in the banks with money, interest rates tiny, we're probably going to go into negative interest rates. He's more than happy for me to use his money over the next sort of 6 to 9 months. So the exciting thing is I'm having a big double story extension, so it'll probably come out just about where we're stood now, and you can see I'm extending the full bottom and half of the top's going to come out as well. It's quite a big house on a big plot of land, so I was really excited to get it. This one I got through Rightmove, and I managed to negotiate 20 grand off the asking price, and it's only because I wasn't afraid to talk to the agent, understand the vendor's position, and have a great deal. And this is going to be a lovely family home for me and my kiddies. So yes, so many people ask me, has coronavirus lockdown impacted my ability to be a landlord, buy houses? My brother quite asked, because he's never really got to grips with what I do and he thinks it's a bit funny. My brother said, you know, have you gone bankrupt? No. Prime property investment journey is fine. Lockdown has some challenges, and I'm not going to lie, you know, things are a little bit more difficult to view. You have to be, you know, wary. It takes a lot more time for the conveyancing and solicitors and things, but actually it's the biggest time of opportunity. More people than ever want to move house now, so a lot of older houses are coming on the market where people have said, you know, because they've been locked down, they're fed up of being in the house, they do really want to change, which is awesome. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity. You just need to know, like with anything, how to get by it. You know, you have to play by the agent's rules and try and go direct to vendor. But no, I think lockdown's really helped me push myself and challenge myself as a property investor. So I'm just on my way back to the office because I'd love to show you my holiday lets. So these are crackers, because once I learned just about buying basic houses, doing buy, refurb, refinance, just your normal buy to lets, I then discovered serviced accommodation and holiday lets. So obviously we're a bit far away for us to travel to them today, but I'm going to show you them and I'm going to talk you through how it works, because these are really exciting. So one of the earliest things I did in property was something called rent to rent. Now, it blew my mind at the time that you could rent a property out and then pay the owner rent and then put it on booking.com, Airbnb, Expedia and make money per night. And it blew my mind. So I'd always wanted a holiday home in the Peak District in Bakewell. And I can remember saying to Paul, another property investor, my mentor at the time, like, I really want one. I said, but you know, I've not got the money to go and put a deposit in. You know, I wasn't really 100% with buy, refurb, refinance then. That seemed a bit over my head. And Paul just said, Abby, why don't you try managing the property, earning money from the property, but not owning it? What about this rent to rent? So this is one of my rent to rent properties. So I went and I did it in the Peak District near Bakewell. And I had two bedroom, beautiful cottage style apartments there near Chatsworth House. And then the second one I did is this one I'm going to show you. This one's in the seaside town of Whitby. So this is my rent to rent property. I pay the landlord £695 per month. And then I get to put it on Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, and I rent it out per night. And it makes from, in off peak, you're talking about £170 a night. In peak season, about £250 a night. But it's just absolutely stunning. It's a little 3-bed townhouse. It's over 3 stories and it's beautiful. And I love seeing it on Booking.com, reading the reviews from people, and just, you know, people are going there on holiday and having a nice time. So that's just a cracker. That one, it didn't cost me a lot of money to set up because I was wary at the time when I started property. I didn't have a lot of money. So that one, it just cost me some money to put the lockbox on, to do bits and pieces and get some linen in. Other than that, I didn't pay upfront deposit or advance rent. You know, I did the deal with the landlord, and yeah, and it sounds a bit too good to be true, but it isn't. Rent to rent is a property strategy that's awesome. And now my final house I want to show you, the one that I'm really proud of and I'm really excited of, is my new house in Bakewell. So this one we bought with a normal mortgage and a deposit. Now that money came from my property over the last few years that I bulked up and I was able to do it. So this is one of my dream houses because I've always wanted to own a house in Bakewell in the Peak District. So we've called it All Saint View. It's a 4-bed, gorgeous house. It's huge, like really big in square footage size, and we bought it just with a normal deposit. We've got a special mortgage that allows you to have it as a second home, but also to have it as a holiday let. So we do rent this out. So we're there a lot on the weekend with me and my kids, and then we rent it out per night. And it's currently going for about £450 to £500 per night. Now my mortgage on it is £1,300 and something, so you can see the difference when you're renting it per night. We did about just under a £60,000 refurb, and now we're just taking an extra advance out on the mortgage. So, you know, we said to our mortgage company, it's now worth a lot more money, can you value it? And we take more money out, which we are. But very excited for this one. So this again is our like holiday home on a weekend, but where we're going to monetize it. And that's the great thing about property that so many people don't know. So many people think property investors is just saving up, putting a deposit and having a buy-to-let mortgage. And there's so many things you can do in property. You just need to know how. So I really hope you've enjoyed spending this time with me. I've got a massive buzz from going and seeing some of the properties that I own. It really doesn't feel real. Sometimes I have to pinch myself that this is my life. I'm a property investor. The great thing is anybody can do this, and you could do this too. So you've seen me talk about lots of different things in property, and you really need to understand it more and get that knowledge if you want to go in it. So see the links below in this video. You can come and spend some time with me. We do our 2-day Well Through Property conference. But yeah, have a look. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because I do these videos weekly. Comment below in the chat box and like the video.